We've got one from Glaive, who said that WoW feels overcomplicated in its current state. What happened to simple systems? Run heroics, get into raids. Now there's too many hoops. And that's an interesting one, because sometimes Blizzard put in things to solve problems for players. I think like or sort of solve problems, even though it could be a problem they've created. But your MAW sockets. It's like, oh yeah, now players can get sockets. That's the thing. It's the more that those game systems are, I think, interconnected with each other, that to people they look at and they just kind of go, ooh, like that sort of meme format thing, and then their head melts, and then they don't feel like they can get it. And it's that sort of thing where, if you feel like, oh, I'm in this cool fantasy, I've been, questing through the forests, and I've got to look, it's the new Covenant Sanctum, you're all excited, and then you're hit up with, a bar to earn, a currency, a soul's currency, and a whole bunch of things, then you can feel overwhelmed. So there is something, I think, right now where it's pretty easy for people to feel overwhelmed. I think Covenants end up throwing a decent amount of things at some of the less mechanically oriented players a little bit early on, and maybe for some people that's a little bit too much. And then, it's like they have just added in more systems, many of which are actually, pretty fun, like, getting legendaries, that's all pretty cool. But it's like the more systems you add, there's a risk of there being interdependencies between them. Yeah. And I think to a lot of people that reads as complexity, and they can see that and just be, overwhelmed. The game certainly is more complex than it was in the past, but also the players are more complex. Mm-hmm. The players are more willing to engage in complexities. And I think that in turn then means that Blizzard are, they're making a game for their players. So if they've got all of these players with their weak... And Blizzard say they don't develop boss fights with weak auras and boss mods in mind.
They have to.
But they kind of have to, because everybody does. Yeah. So, it's like we're... Because World of Warcraft has... a lot of game designers have advanced World of Warcraft as a video game playing experience. I don't mean just an experience, but I mean the video gamey part of it, where you're getting your numbers to do the bigger numbers, doing your stuff. It's like that's just being developed and advanced and advanced and advanced. And it's been advanced for a community of people who have liked that, who have enjoyed it. But then for a lot of people, they're going to come back to it. And it's going to feel like it's all too much. I think if we were to say that this was a problem, I think the only way to solve this, that's I think a good one, is just having a nice distinction and separation between content, such that if you're a raider, you don't have to worry about a bunch of other things. If you're a mythic player, you don't have to worry about, if you're a casual, you don't have to worry about whatever. You just go do your thing and it'll feel natural, maybe not overwhelming. It's an interesting thing. I never felt overwhelmed by the Shadowlands expansion, but I did notice in the video comments that we got, a lot of people were saying they were feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think fundamentally it's because it's a spider web. Like everything is super connected. If you try to visualize it as like all the content is like nodes on a graph and then they link to each other, it's immediately just a web, as opposed to, because I was comparing this in my head as you were speaking to like so this is complicated. Why isn't TBC attunements complicated? Obviously that is complex instead of just, it's not a simple, oh, go do this and get that. It is but it is a lot of separate nodes with a single or like double, maybe even triple links in them. So it is like you've got prerequisites, but you are on a path through these nodes. You do have very clear movements between them, but now it's complicated because everything ties into each other in like not even obscure ways. It's fairly simple, but it's just, you want to get your legendary, you go to Torghast, it's connected to the Maw. You're getting anima from all these places, you're getting conduits from world quests, conduits, soulbinds. There's a lot of terminology, and it's all super interwoven together, where it's like, it's just at the risk of sounding like an idiot, it's just not simple, it's complex.
Yeah. And that is actually, you sort of said that in a way that brought up another angle, I guess, and I think it's an important angle. Yeah, whenever glyphs were glyphs, glyphs have, since glyphs were glyphs, there've been many other things, including conduits, soulbinds and all of that. But when a glyph was a glyph, you were like, hello there, Mr. Scribe, I would like a glyph, please. Scribe would go, hello, here is your glyph. You would say, why have you just handed me a cup, not a glyph? And then you'd put this somehow into your character. I don't know how you socket a glyph onto yourself, but that's what you do. And then there you go. Problem solved, done. Now, you're not going to get many more MAUs or DAUs from that, are you?
No.
You know, you're not going to get more active users because you can't, you know, progress and level up your glyphs. Nice and simple, though. Just about anyone could understand it. But then the thing from the, the player expectation is that we're getting bigger and better over time. Does Blizzard feel like, okay, we got glyphs, but those are a bit simple. How about we got these soulbinds, characters you care about, and they have a bunch of mechanics. Cool, the thing you care about's got more mechanics. And then it's got progression. And then it's got things you can socket onto it to customize it even more. And then in the new patch, you can get empowered versions of it all. I mean, you can totally see how from Blizzard's perspective, if their thing is they're trying to up the ante and make, the cool, innovative new thing for the new expansion, it's going to involve advancing things that in their very first form were very simple. I guess the question is, how far do you go? I would say we should maybe not go so far and maybe try to think about new cool things instead of trying to juice the same principles again and again.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal perspective has always just been, I wish, just scrap. Why do we even bother with conduits? Just give us a bunch of glyphs and spend all that dev time in anything else.
Yeah. The thing that's annoying is conduits are I actually like a lot of them. They feel, especially as a paladin, some of them feel really nice. Echoing blessings, I can just throw freedom on someone, they run faster now. That feels natural. I used to do that, I would do it anyway, just in case someone gets slowed. But now they go fast with echoing blessings. Divine Steed now lasts longer if I have that in. It's like, that feels good. I have that, but if I try to draw on a graph of like how that interacts with everything else, it's like, okay, so we've got our soulbinds. There's 3 of them. Each path gets progressed at different rates with renown. Okay, cool. Where's renown from? Here, 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 and here. Okay, sweet. It's also limited. Okay, but conduits. Okay, conduits come from here, and here, and here, and they also come from Venari. So I need to get Stygia, which comes from here, which comes from all these weeklies and dailies. So all this stuff is like super interconnected, versus glyphs, where it is you go get glyph. And I think that's fundamentally the problem. Whereas if conduits are more just like, hello, this part of the table, it goes in, and you're not worrying about any other part of it. It's just, yeah, here you go. Here's a cool thing, a cool bonus you can earn. But it's just the way they've tried to game it in so many different ways to kind of like spread everything out. It's like,
Yeah. I think the final thing I'll say there is, whenever everything in World of Warcraft has got to be built around the new expansion, super hardcore, such that it's world of wherever the current patch is. That is the game. Now imagine a situation where instead of the conduits and any of that jazz, you actually could just customize little bits of your class and your spec via your class order hall. And maybe if we just say, we've established the class order halls to defend Azeroth, this is now just a thing that exists in the World of Warcraft, and in future, this is the system by which, you can tweak and modify little bits of your class. And it was just that forever. And minor little changes and additions over time, but minor, nice and simple. I think something like that would be a bit more sustainable than kind of having to place a big new bet every X pack. Yeah,
it would be great. And it's like you could swap so much that out with each expansion and have it feel different, but it would still remain like, it would still feel like part of the overarching game, where it's like, almost like this is weird, but it's like taking out like a surfer blade or something and then just slotting another one in for the new expansion might kind of nail the feel a bit better. Where it is just, okay, it's a new expansion, go back to the characters that that handled your class, and they're like, hello, we have liaised with the Carrion, have access to Divine Toll. And you're like, sweet, that's cool, thank you very much. You can upgrade stuff with these 3 slots, and then there you go, you're sorted. And then that carries in with like customization from later, from prior. That would all really work out quite well, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to simplicity. And I guess another thing then is for people like Lave, if they're worried, if they're feeling overwhelmed, like if every expansion just kind of rejigs everything so much, then that rate of change will be confusing to people, and that's always something to balance.